Good afternoon, Tom Ginn, G Force. G is for gratitude. We will be right back. Good afternoon, Tom Ginn, G Force. G is for gratitude. The whole purpose of this program is, in my experience in coaching, and one of the principles I've leaned into is gratitude. I believe it's one of the most powerful principles we can apply, and when we really understand it, it really gets us in a place where we can face all challenges with a different perspective. And so G, I believe G stands for gratitude. Gratitude powers our potential, keeps in a place of positivity, no matter what the circumstances are they're going in our life. And I encourage everybody to study gratitude, apply gratitude in their life, and just notice what happens on the instant that you go to a space of gratitude. But today, I'm super excited to interview somebody's a colleague from the past in the Proctor Gallagher Institute. My wife and I are both certified with the Proctor Gallagher Institute, and our guest Jacquelyn MacKenzie is been somebody I've admired, somebody I've followed, somebody that is influential. And today I'm really excited to introduce her, have her tell her story today. And what I like everybody to do is tag and share this out today. And without any further ado, I'm going to bring in Jacquelyn. There she is. Good afternoon, Jacquelyn. Tell us a little bit of, where you're at right now. I know you're from Toronto, Canada, but today, where are you?
So I'm in Houston, Texas right now for the next couple of weeks, and but originally from Toronto, actually born and raised in Alberta, but I've lived in Ontario for almost about 12 years now. So,
okay, we got a little bit of hesitation there, so we're going to just sort of see if we can not move around so much. But what I'd like to do, Jacquelyn, is just tell a little bit about yourself. Like where you're from. I know you got a family. Where you are today, where you're going in the future. So I'm gonna just turn it over to you, and we'll just go from there.
Yeah. Well, I live just outside of Toronto. I have three amazing boys. One who is graduated this year and going off to college in the fall, and then I have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old who are down here with me in Texas right now. And for the last background, my background is I moved for 11 years and really worked my way up the ladder in that company, and was before I left was managing multi-million-dollar projects, and then I took some time off to be at home with the boys and to raise my family. And there was something when I was thinking about going back to work, I've always been really purpose and mission driven, and
Jacquelyn,
I wanted to make.
Jacquelyn, I got to interrupt here. I have to apologize. We're getting a lot of breakup. Maybe move a little closer to your mic. We're getting some reverb or background noise. It's interfering with that. You don't have a headset or anything, do you?
I don't. Normally I do, but I'm on holidays right now. So is that better?
Yeah, staying closer to the mic, and that way we won't get the echo. So you may want to start over a little bit. So we lost a lot of that in the reverb. So, but we'll go back at it. This is what I love about being live. Just got to roll with the obstacles that come in front of us.
Totally. I totally get it. I'm not sure where I left off, but I have a background in construction, did that, for 11 years in my early 20s, and worked my way up the ladder there. And three amazing boys. I have an 18-year-old who's graduated and off to college this year or this fall. And then I have two others, Liam and Oliver, who are here with me in Texas here. And, I always wanted to make a difference and always have been very purpose driven. And I got into coaching, I guess, almost I want to say 9 years ago now, something like that. And have just built my own coaching practice, helping people, create a life of freedom, really getting control of their thoughts, or, really learning how to build certain disciplines in their mindset, or building that really powerful self-image. And I've been doing that for almost 10 years, I guess, and absolutely love it. And I haven't stopped, just have grown and expanded since.
I know, how did you find Bob Proctor? What stimulated you what was your journey to Bob and that process?
Yeah, so that's interesting. So when I was in construction, I first heard of Bob back in 2006 when The Secret came out. And I remember because my mom called me and she's like, Jacquelyn, you got to turn on Oprah. There's this movie that's out called The Secret. And I was in that part of my phase of my life, I was really looking for more. I always knew that there was more to what we physically could see. I just didn't know how to kind of put it all together. And that's when my journey, I guess, to, studying of personal development really began. Is back then. And when I heard Bob Proctor speak in The Secret, I knew he had information that I needed to learn and wanted to basically soak more up of. And, fast forward years later, I was became one of his consultants and worked with him.
Yeah,
and so, I mean, if you were back in 2006, I would have thought you were crazy, but it's, the universe is always conspiring for you. And
so today, you're taking all these disciplines and that you've learned from Bob, and you've written a book previously, and you want to share a little bit about that first book, and then we talk a little bit about what's coming up in the future, and
yeah,
we'll talk about some things of wisdom that we can share out there with the audience.
Absolutely. Well, my first book, I think I wrote about 4 years ago. And it's really all about, learning how to improve different areas of your life by, changing the way you think. And I think a lot of times, we're taught when we're younger, to work hard, hustle, and gather more knowledge. And, but really the key is when you start to learn how to think differently, your world really does expand. And so my first book is really just how to really start training your mind to start thinking differently about you and your life. And I mean, I think about my life completely different than I used to, and that continues on. And then I have a second book coming out in the fall here that is a little bit more probably personal, because I found my goals and have really changed over the years, or maybe have expanded, I guess, after last fall. Things in my life really started to change, and the meaning of things changed for me.
Yeah, so we're just going to make sure we stay close to that mic on your computer there. It's breaking up again a little bit. So so you're going to be launching that book, and it's a little deeper, more about you and your journey. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, it is. For me, especially over the last few years, I still have huge goals like everybody does, but for me, what brings you what fulfills you, what brings your happiness. And I guess I've worked with thousands of people from around the world, and I always found that everyone's always trying to get to that next level of success, that next level of income, and I think those are all great. But I feel like a big part of what people forget is to focus on their own inner happiness. Like we're here for such a short period of time. And a lot of times we can base like happiness based on outside circumstances. Like when I get to this level, then I'll be happy. When I reach this income bracket, then I'll be happy. When I get this thing or that thing, when really it's about focusing on creating like happiness and inner wealth, like right now with where you are and with what you currently have. And that's something that, I think has really changed for me over the years, and especially like last fall. It was, certain things in my life became really, really. I guess things. My perspective around things changed quite a bit.
And you can share this if you like, but you had this very significant concern in your life, and is that what triggered how you're going to look at your world differently? Is when we have those life challenges? Is that what you're speaking of?
Yeah, I'm. Last summer, I was diagnosed with 2 brain tumors, and at stage 2, and it just came out of nowhere. And I'm sure like all these things come out of nowhere for everyone. I mean, no one ever expects that. And, you go through all these different emotions, like going through it. And I've had all this training all these years, and I'm so grateful that I did, but you still have these moments thinking like, oh my gosh, like we're not guaranteed anything.
Right.
They're really not. And I remember having these conversations with clients too, is even before all of this, like life is really short. And if there's something you want to do, you just got to take control and just decide that make a decision that you're going to do it. And that became like really apparent, last summer, of how really short things are, and anything can happen. And when I was going through brain surgery and recovery, it was like the only things that really mattered to me was the people, like my family, my boys, the people around me, family and friends, like drive up to be with me. And it was really a humbling experience. And at the end of the day, like that's all that was like wealth, that was happiness to me, is like having my favorite people around me. But then it also it makes you realize like how small all of us are playing. Sometimes we think we're playing really big, and it got me to take a look at like, wow, I'm really not, like there's things that maybe I was holding back on at doing for whatever reason. And it just like, why are you holding yourself back? Like, if you have the ideas, you have the ability to carry it out. You just, have to make a decision to go ahead and do it. So it was these things like really learning how to, create this like wealth and this happiness inside of you, like with where you are, with what you currently have, but then still like go after these bigger and greater things.
You said something that I think it's important. We get caught up in the world and all what I call the ornaments of life, and they're sparkly. We chase them, and we sit back and we just think that everything is going great. But I always encourage people to just go to this moment right now. This is the most precious, most valuable moment you have, no matter what's going on, is in being in that place of gratitude. And because it will move everything forward in relationship to your thinking. And so if you can get out of the trauma of the disappointment, or the trauma of the realization that health issues is a crisis now, but staying in that place of gratitude at the moment, because that's all we have is this moment.
Yeah.
And what we do
It's
with
so
this moment will dictate the next moment, so on, and it compounds effect out. So, where do you put gratitude in your life? How do you address gratitude? Seeing how that's sort of my foundation. I'd like to hear your perspective on gratitude.
it's been at the forefront, since I, began my PGI days is, you know, writing out what I'm grateful for every day, and I think it's even gotten like deeper again for me, where you know really take it, like really learning how to take your gratitude and take it like 5 layers deeper. Like, why are you, like, putting the why behind why you're grateful for things, like really getting into that feeling of gratitude. Like if you wake up and you're just so grateful for like a cup of coffee, why are you grateful for this cup of coffee? I mean, you can have coffee every single day, but why in this particular moment are you grateful for that? Like, did it, maybe it took you, maybe you sat down on the couch in the morning and had your cup of coffee, and maybe you just, it spurred a thought or a moment, or took you down a memory lane, or just, like, why? Or maybe you're grateful for, your family or your children. Why are you grateful for them? Because you can be grateful for all these things every single day, but why? And so I've really taken like my whole gratitude to a whole new level of like, why am I grateful for this? Because it's usually like what's behind it is why is the meaning of gratitude.
Yeah, and that sort of leads to it's what was turned on to me. Robert A. Emmons, he wrote a book, his Gratitude Works, and we take a lot of times gratitude on the surface. I'm so grateful that we're talking today, and its surface. It's not really a deep, and just like you said, the cup of coffee. Why are you grateful for the cup of coffee? If you're in a barista makes it, be grateful for the barista that got there early to make that, and all the way down to the farmer. If you really think about gratitude, below just the surface, it goes deeper. You can do that with your family, your career, your business, relationships. And what is that deepness of gratitude? And I think that's where a lot of people are missing. We're on the surface in many cases. But anything you want to comment about that? I know you mentioned that, is that why are you grateful?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's everything. I mean, when I was learning how to gratitude too, I'd be just, be writing out my gratitude list. And I found it was kind of almost like a little bit of automatic. Like I wasn't really, when we teach this, so we teach you got to get into the feeling of what you want. And so it's like you're constantly training yourself to get into that feeling. And so for me, what's always worked is just, getting into like the why behind it. I would start like every morning, I'm like writing down, I'm so grateful for my 3 boys. I'm just so proud of them. They make me so proud to like watch them grow, or, the kindness that I saw them show someone, or, seeing my son like so excited because he got his license. Like, I think it's really important to kind of go a little bit deeper, because whenever we want, and I know you this as well too, Tom, and you teach this, is it's like anything we want more of in our life, we have to first be grateful for what we currently have. So if we want, relationships in our life, or, we got to be grateful for the relationships that we have in our life currently. If we want to raise our income level, which I'm sure most people do, you want to be grateful for your current income level right now, and to show appreciation. Or health is a big one. If you want better health, or you're working on your health, which I'm constantly always working on my health, but this has kind of been something I've had to change my perspective on too, is like, be grateful for the health that I currently am in right now. And that's something maybe I've never really thought about being grateful for the health that I am right now, because I'm always trying to get to, improve my health. That whereas like, whoa, wait a minute, I'm in really good health right now. I need to like really be grateful for that, because your body goes through a lot every single day. So
being trained by Bob, and Bob changed my life. In most people's eyes, I had a very successful life, but I lived way below my potential. My self-image wasn't as strong. I didn't think I was worthy to make more money, or some other issues I won't get into. So I'm going to be about you, but he changed my life. And so he was your first mentor, and who else have you studied? Because I think, no one person has all the answers, but I think when we study, we start seeing how things overlap or a different perspective. Besides Bob, who are some of the other influencers in your life? It could be somebody we know, or just somebody that is come into your life that has made a big impact.
I really am loving Joe Dispenza. I've been studying him for a few years now, and probably more on a deeper level in the last little bit. I'm really I find him and Bob, though they're very similar, just spoken in a different language. I studied the Brad Lewis Howes, and Tom Billios, the Ed Milet's. I've read all their books, and what I love about this too is everybody is speaking the same language. They just verbally say it differently, which I think is really cool. And so I really recommend expanding your mentors beyond one person, because it just takes one idea or for someone to say something that just really resonates with you, and that idea can be a complete game changer. I remember, I remember Bob, one of the things that was a game changer for me was I was sitting in a seminar, and this is when I first began, and I was really learning about the mind and how powerful your mind is, and really in the beginning stages of learning about self-image, and including my own. And I remember him on stage, and he was saying, you have this ability to choose how you want to think. It's so simple, but no one has ever said that to me, right? We just take whatever information is coming in with no filter, sometimes no filter. We just let thoughts flow through. And he's like, and then he starts talking about self-image, and he's like, you have the ability to choose who you want to be. You just got to decide to be it. And I was like, what? And it just felt like everything in my mind was like nobody teaches you this. Nobody teaches you I would back then when I think, and why that was powerful for me is because, I was this quiet, shy, introverted, person my whole life, because that's what I told myself. But I didn't want to be shy and quiet and introverted. I always saw myself as a speaker, even, in the, when I was younger, and I didn't want to be shy and quiet and be that way. And when I heard him say that, I was like, it was literally just a switch, being able to flip the switch and being like, okay, well, who do I want to be? And then you just start building on that. And every year you can ask yourself the same question, who do you want to become? Who do you need to become in order to reach your goals? And every single person has the same ability to do it. You just have to take the time and decide who that is.
Yeah. Bob taught some, I liked always what Bob said is that we hear Bob and we hear all the people, Joe Dispenza, and we can go down the list of great influencers and in the world, even going back to the ancient wisdom. And that's where it all comes from anyway. I just love what he says, that the universe and our thinking operates by law, and it's not man-made. And if we really get to that understanding that why we're frustrated or why we're feeling stuck or why we're whatever, is something's out of alignment in our thinking. And our thinking is nothing more than energy. The universe is energy. You and I are energy. And just being aware of that energy. I love his stick person. I got it on my desktop. All my clients, I make sure they got it on their desktop so you can see themselves instantaneous where they are in the moment. Are they on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, or how do we make shift? But just knowing that when we hear things, we know truth. Truth speaks to itself, right? And I think that's the key is if you're in tune, you recognize truth. I like to speak to this. You make a lot of comments about decision, and Bob talks a lot about that.
Mhm.
Is everybody wants something in the world, right? I mean, I want this, I want that, I want a
Yeah.
bigger house, more money. I want. Want has nothing to do with anything. It really comes down to what? What would you say?
I mean, you can want whatever, but until you decide you're gonna do it, nothing will happen. And I mean, you can't, even if you like think about how important decisions are just in an everyday. I mean, you can't even go to the store without getting up and making a decision that you're going to go to the store. And so when you take that same principle and you apply it to your life or your goals or who you're going to show up as today, like you got to decide to do it. And it's like you make that decision and then you got to act and carry out that decision, and it just affects every part of your life. And so you really want to get good at good at doing that, and make it almost like decision is like a discipline that you do every day. And if you don't follow through on that decision, or you slip, which happens, we all do it, like why, what got in your way, like what stopped you from doing that and it could be just, and you start tuning into yourself and like what you're doing and how you're thinking, and you do that on a regular basis, you become really like powerful and unstoppable, and you really understand like who you are as a person. And so and after a while, like when you start training yourself to do this, it just becomes your new norm. Like right away, when you get stuck, you're stuck because you're something is getting in your way. Maybe it was just something simple, like you didn't plan, right? But being self-aware is so important, because the more you tune into you, the more you're able to do and change and expand whatever you want to do, work on in your life.
Yeah. We've been talking about want and decisions, but I want to. I just love. We could talk all day long on our perspectives and what we've learned and that. But we talked about wants and decisions, but we didn't talk about taking want to what you really desire, because that is the fuel. That is the. You don't have any desire, there's no fuel. You can't light a fire without a fuel. You may get a spark, you may light the match, but that match will burn out on a want. So, what is your fuel? What are you going to use that spark for? That's the desire. And I always go even further than that. Is somebody I've studied, and it was turned on to me by one of my clients, and then thank God that he came into my life, because I learned as much from my clients as hopefully they're learning from the resources I put in front of them. But the power of your vision, the power of your vision. When we talk to those who are succeeding in anything in life, whether it be in business, whether it be whatever, is they're very clear on a vision. Like Bob talks about, manifest it in your mind before you achieve it. And what is it tied to? What is it tied to in here? That heart's desire is so critical, because when you have a vision, nothing can get in your way. Nothing. Would you agree?
Absolutely. It's I think that's the starting point to everything. But you got to take the time and figure that out, and figure out what it is you really want, how you want to live. When I look back I like to start off with like my values, like what's important to me. And it can change like through different seasons or stages of your life. And when I first started, like my kids were really young, and I wanted to make sure that everything I was doing was in alignment with the lifestyle I wanted to create. So they were like a really huge part of my why, because I wanted to create this as their mom, and that gave me so much drive and power, especially in the early days. So I built everything that I'm doing, and still around my around my boys, and freedom, time and money freedom, really, really important to me. And because I do like to travel, I like to be able to work from anywhere. So knowing that that's one of my, something that is really important to me. Doesn't matter what I'm doing or taking on. It's like, okay, does that fit in this? Is this taking me away or further away, from what's important to me? And when you start there and you figure out what it is you really want, yet you want to create that vision of what does it look like. And for myself, I know, like, writing it out helps me create that picture in my mind, especially if I'm having a bit of a hard time envisioning it or imagining it. And I find if you're in that stage where you're not really sure, or maybe you've had a big life change and you kind of need to, going down a new path, the best thing you can do is, if you're not sure what it is you want, is start, like, trying new things. Like, I always tell my clients that too, like, just don't be scared to try new things, because even if you try and you don't like it, it's going to lead you to somewhere, right? And it's going to lead you to the next thing. I think sometimes as adults, people get so scared to try new things because they're set in their old ways. So then they're like, so they go through this big life change, or something happens, and like, why? Like, I used to be like, this is what I did, this is what I know. And so any newness is like, can be really, really scary, and you have a hard time envisioning it because they've never been there before. But you got to train your mind to learn how to envision it.
We're talking about, just right now, about the vision, your purpose, your why, and all that. When I deal with clients, I help lots of times people, this as well, and maybe your own story. Sometimes we don't know what we really want, right? Maybe we're living our life on other people's terms, like Rex Sykes would say. But what I really help, just tell me, this is what I encourage people to do when they say, I really can't, I don't know what I want. And a lot of people don't, and you've seen that. But I always start them with this: people know what they don't want.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a good starting point. You eliminate all the things you don't want and you no longer focus on it. Now that opens up a whole different channel of thinking, and things become clear, because many times people are holding on to the past and holding on to the negatives, holding on to all that, and eliminate them. And that's one of the things I do. What's your thoughts on and sharing your thoughts out there on eliminating what you don't want?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, everybody knows what you don't want. So that's a great starting point to help you figure out what it is you do want. So, for example, for me, like, time was a big one for me. I didn't want to be stuck. I did the corporate job, worked really long hours, 2-hour commute. And I felt like that I didn't get to see, I didn't like seeing the boys at the end of the day, where only a couple hours and they were in bed. And so that was something I knew that I did not want. So what's the freedom to be able to work from anyone? So that's, for me, starting with that, it's like, I want to be able to pick the boy up from school, drop them off at school, and on vacations whenever I wanted to. And so that is what I did. Start there, and then maybe you want to look at income. So you need to obviously support this lifestyle. So what don't you want? What don't you like about your income right now? What, like, do you feel like it holds you back from in certain way, or restricts you, or are you maybe you're not able to do all the things that you really want to do? So figure out, like, okay, so what kind of income would you like to be earning, so that you have that to do the things that you really want to do. Okay, perfect. So start there, and then think about, we do have to provide something in exchange, and so if you could spend your days doing whatever it is you want. You get to choose how do you want to spend them, or what type of service do you want to provide in the world. Like maybe you really love sales, or maybe you love helping people. Maybe you've always had a desire to start your own business with a product that you absolutely love. Like you just start asking yourself these different questions about, what can you imagine? Like you're going to have to trade your time for something, but make sure you're trading it for something that you love doing, because then it doesn't feel like it doesn't. When you do what you love, it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah. You're saying some things very profound there. And I think, that what I was going back to Dr. Miles Monroe, and we have a vision, and you could tie that with your purpose and that your crusade, all those things come together. The vision is what it looks like. It's really and it incorporates everything in your life. But what I found out when I got clear on my vision, it made it very simple what I brought into my life, what books I read, who I hang with, what movies I watch. If it doesn't align with my vision, I don't entertain it. And it may sound selfish, and I love people, and but I circle myself with people of positiveness, visionary, purpose-filled reasons. Those that aren't there, I love them, but I don't make that part of what I do in my life. Yeah, if we go to a party or a family reunion, whatever, yes, I love them and there, but it makes life easeful when we're very clear on, excuse me, on our purpose and our why and our vision. So any comments there? You're frozen on me here. We have lost internet connection with Jacquelyn, so hopefully she'll be jumping back on here real quick. Yeah, so she is back. So she's back.
There we go.
No problem.
Sorry about that. Place where the is a little bit spotty.
Yeah, so we're dealing with we love technology, but at the same time we get a little frustrated with it. So, but you just put a smile on your face and just keep rolling. It's just what it is. So, if nothing else, we can redo this if you'd love to do this again. But yeah, but where you're at now, you're on your own journey. On your own path, taking all the things that you've learned over 8-10 years. Where do you plan on going with taking Jacquelyn to the world, making that impact in the world? Where's your new vision? What is your new purpose? What is your new goal that you have for yourself?
Well, I don't know. It's like it's just I guess to expand and to reach more people. Before COVID happened, I was supposed to do a tour across Canada for events, and of course that all changed. And so one of the first things that we're going to do is get events going again. I love doing events. That's how I started in my business, is doing events, and so within I'll have events starting to be planned out for 2023 after my book launch, and it's just helping other people find their own inner happiness, whatever that looks like, stepping into their own power, figuring out what you really love to do. I mean, I'm on a huge mission, and there's lots of other people that are on a very similar mission. And I think that's really powerful, because there's a lot of people, and it just takes, sometimes it just takes, learning how to think differently. And I think that's something that most people just be like, oh, I think positive. I know how to think. I read books. I've gone to seminars. I've done programs. Listen, I've done all of that too. I still continue to do it, because I still need help with training myself how to think differently, because we're always growing, and our life is always expanded, and we're always in a different different place. Like I'm completely different than I was a year ago. And but we have to we have to continuously study and train and train ourselves, because um, there's so much going on in the outside world, so much going on, and we have the ability to either to let it affect us, or we have the ability to simply kind of like reject it. Not that you're saying, okay, you don't care about what's going on in the world, but not letting it overtake your power. And I think I see that happen so much, is people let circumstances take over their inner power that they have inside, and it freezes them, and they stop making, they stop moving forward. And so it's learning how to maneuver through all of that, no matter what's going on in the world, and still be like purpose driven or mission driven, and letting your desires guide you instead of your fears guide you. And but it's you got to stay in tune with all that. I mean, I've constantly investing in myself, in my business, because like I need someone to hold me accountable. I need someone to see where help me with my blind spots, because we can only see, whatever's going on inside. Like we don't see things as they actually are. We see things as we are, right? So you got to take a look at that. And because if you're seeing things only as you are, what are you missing out there? We're missing a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, I can't hear you.
I guess maybe I should learn to unmute myself. But yeah, we just said something very, very, very astute there, is that um, we look at the world through our own lenses, and they've been formed. But the great thing is it's like a pair of sunglasses. We can take them off and put a new set of lenses on. And I think that's where what you're talking about, studying and reading and wanting to grow, having somebody accountable. That's why coaching and mentoring is so, in my opinion, probably the most valuable thing, most greatest investment you can ever make in
Absolutely.
yourself is doing that. But
Well, and I think it's important because a lot of people most people want change, or they want something different in their life. But what are you going to do differently in order to receive it? I mean, because what you're currently doing right now is giving you whatever's showing up in your life right now. So if you're here and you want to go up here, like, what do you need to do differently? You need to change. Like, you need to change some things up. You need to change up your energy. You need to be the energy of what you want, because right now your energy is with what you currently have. And the most scariest thing is to is to be comfortable and to settle. Like, and that's something, like, even last when I was diagnosed with my brain tumors, like, we all get comfortable, and it makes you realize, like, how bad do you really want something, and or that idea that's been kind of percolating, maybe you take it off the shelf and you look at it and then you put it back on the shelf. Like, how much longer are you going to do that? How much longer are you going to wait? I mean, time doesn't wait for us. Time does not say, oh, wait till Tom is ready, or wait for Jacqueline to be ready, and then everything's going to show up. Time, it's never going to be the perfect opportunity to start anything. It really, like, I have never found that. I've always found, like, um, when the opportunities usually show up when you're not ready. And that's that moment that you got to decide, being like, okay, am I going to take this and do it and just figure it out? Or am I going to just let it go by and wait for the next one? And because there's opportunities in front of us every single day.
yes, yeah, all our answers are there. It's just how we learn to take the filters off and be open. Be say open minded is a very trite word, but really, what does that really mean? And just understand that our biases have been formed, and learn to change our biases. Change. How did I learn to think the way I was thinking? And I still have some old thinking that I'm dealing with. It's a journey. I think what Sandy Gallagher said better than anything I've heard. We have a goal, we have a vision, we have something we want to go after. Like Bob says, something bigger than you've ever done before. But I think the real definition of success, like Sandy says, is who you become along the way. Yeah. And if we focus on that we're improving ourselves, the end result will start manifesting itself. So the more work we do on ourselves, the quicker we can get to that destination. Would you agree? You think that's a powerful statement that Sandy shared?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not about the goal, and because think about it, and I probably thought that it was about the goal like a long time ago, until I realized, like, when I started reaching my goals, I was like, I didn't even know I reached them half the time until fact. And then I was like, oh my gosh, wow. Okay. I got a time for me to like expand my goal, but look how much I've grown in the past. And you can see the changes, like even in like your appearance or the way your lifestyle, or, in what you're currently doing. It's like, I think that if people just fall in love with that part of the process, it's just, everything is so much more enjoyable. Like, every day waking up and like, okay, well, what are you going to do for yourself that's going to make you happy today? Like, that is so important. Like, I remember speaking on the phone with Bob many times. He's like, Jacquelyn, what are you doing for yourself? And at those times I was always so busy. I was doing like seminars, planning the next seminar, planning events, work coaching, working with clients, being a mom. And he goes, but what are you going to do for yourself? And that's something I've had to learn over the years too, because you think about it, like, I think of happiness as like this energy that we're in, and how are you going to keep yourself in this energy? And definitely a lot of things that come in that try to take that energy away. It's not always people. It can just be whatever circumstances. It can be, we can take our own energy away by maybe a thought or something that we had. And all of a sudden we're just like, you feel your energy just goes like this. Right. So what are you going to do to hold your energy, or to create that energy that you want to be in? Like, we can't expect energy or things that we want from other people. We have to learn how to always create it for ourselves. And so when you wake up in the morning, it's like, well, how are you going to create that happy vibe for yourself today? Doesn't matter what it is, but what are you going to do for it? And, maybe that is like you're studying in the morning, or going to the gym, or maybe it's trying something new. I don't know, whatever. But like, these are the things that the more I have tuned in and focused on this, the more everything in my life has expanded, from health, wealth, relationships, business, spiritually, and so on. I just keep focusing on like the energy within myself, and the energy I want to create for myself, and like be that energy. I don't always get it right, because there's lots of things that happen throughout the day, but it's like learning how to get it back on track, maybe when you're off track.
Yeah. You said something that I think is important, is like Bob says, what are you doing for yourself? I call that self-care. What are we doing to bring ourselves, I call mental homeostasis, that you're getting rid of the anxiety of the day, that because we got challenges, we got deadlines, we got issues that might come up, but we've got to learn to be still and know. And that's a spiritual principle. Be still and know. Answers come to you for anything when we can get that. I just call that self-care. I have to admire my wife. She does something every year for the last 20 some years. She does a 14-day retreat, total solitude, no cell phone, no nothing, in an octagon glass house overlooking a frozen lake here in Wisconsin. And that's where she recharges. It gives her the energy from when she gets out of that to move forward for the next 11 months, basically. So talk about self-care. How important is that for
it's people? So important. Like, I was the worst. like before, oh my goodness, because I mean, and I'm sure like people all over can resonate like this. We want to take care of everybody else, and we take care of ourselves last. And when I met Bob, he really shifted my perspective on this. He's like, how can you expect to take care of everybody else? You know, take care of yourself. It's like the airplane, the mask, like you put your mask on first before you put on others. And so that was something I had to literally learn and create new habits and disciplines. And so I think it's extremely important because, you know, like you got to be whatever it is you want, you got to be it first. So if you want more wealth, you got to be wealth first, like inside. So you got to create that wealth inside. So those are things like if you want, you know, more love in your life, you got to be love. Like, you know, it's so you really got to take a look at, you know, what you want in your life, and you got to make sure you're, you know, you're doing that yourself. Like I just look at it as like as energy. Like I got to be that energy. I got to be the energy of what I want.
Yeah, you just said be what we're putting out is coming back to us exactly. So if you're in a state of anxiety, you're going to continue bringing back things that will feed the anxiety versus shifting. So it's so important. People don't realize that. And by shifting your thinking, and how do you stop the negative? How do you stop that vibration? That's our emotions. It tells us everything, what state we're in at any given time. And I think gratitude does that. But you also mentioned something, we're all seeking happiness. But I like to tell me your thought on this. If you study scripture, there's nothing about happiness in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
It's all joy. I think that's the ultimate thing we want in our life is joy, that we have a joy to be around our children. We're joyful to be with our friends. We're joyful to be whatever it is that we're really seeking joy. Mm-hmm. Because happiness is fleeting. I could be happy in 1 second and mad in the next, but you can't take joy away from me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think joy is one of those fuels that keep you in that direction. So any thoughts on just what I made comments on?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all perspective. I mean, joy, happiness, like whatever resonates with you. That is, you know, at the end of the day, we want to feel fulfilled. We want to feel like that energy, fulfillment energy, that happiness and energy, or that joyful energy and energy. Like that's that, or connection. Like whatever it is you're looking, like you're looking for. I think like most people are seeking it. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, I think sometimes we've been trained to like always like people want more stuff in their life, and the stuff doesn't bring like it's such short-term energy. Like I love creating experiences for my family and for my boys, and that brings me so much fulfillment and happiness and joy. Like I get more out of watching the excitement in my kids, like leading up to vacation, for example, a recent example, because they're so excited about it. And I love listening to them like hear and talk about it. But that has nothing to do with like money or anything like that. It's like what's going on inside. So that's what I'm always like really trying to work on constantly, is like keeping that vibration going on the inside. Because I tell you, when you keep that, everything in your life just literally expands, because we attract more of it. Like attracts like energy. So we attract more of those experiences to us, more of those opportunities to us to enjoy. And we attract different people in our life. And I think that's something that, you know, and I get it, because we've always been trained like for, and I, you know, get to that next, you know, level of success or income level. But you got to really like, if you work on creating it on the inside first, it will expand on the outside, but it'll feel good. It'll feel aligned. It's, you know, Neville is Goddard. I'm sure you know you read it, Power of Awareness, but he's like always talking about the effortless way, and you know it doesn't always have to be hard to,
Right.
get to where you want to go. It really doesn't. It's learning. It's the hardest part is training yourself to do it and to show up every day as energy that you want to be, or training yourself to like, when those thoughts and stuff that come into your mind, to discipline your mind and say, no, like this isn't what I want. This is what I want. I'm going to reject those thoughts. Those are just fear-based energy thoughts. Has nothing to do with like, who you are, where you're going. Like those are the things you want to work hard on, is like learning how to discipline yourself, staying in that energy, or that vibration. Like that's probably the hardest work that you'll do, because when you do that, everything else gets easier.
Well, I tell you what, our 60 minutes goes in a hurry here. So, and I want to be respectful of your time. We can continue going if you like, but I always like to, close out your perspective. What's the number one thing that holds people back? And most people will go to fear. But any other thought that you may have, what is holding people back to living that life of fulfillment, what they really desire, that joyful life, the easeful life? Nothing's easy in life, but easeful. How we deal with the challenges of life, I think that's what we're trying to accomplish. But what would be some wisdom or a thought that you can share with everybody? What's holding people, might be holding somebody back?
I think the biggest thing is, making that decision and giving yourself permission to soar. I mean, you can have all these ideas. Everybody knows there's stuff going on inside of them. People know that. It's making that decision, like stepping into it, being like, I deserve this, or this is what I want, or I'm worthy of this. I'm worthy of receiving this. Like giving yourself permission to do what you want to do. Um, because when you give yourself permission, and you make a decision, everything else you just figure it out along the way. Like you'll change and work on the things you need to do. But if you don't make that, it does come back down to that decision. And because sometimes you sit in the indecision. Should I do this? Should I not do this? Like, it's not a really good time to do it. I want to start this business, but I don't have the money, the resources, the knowledge, or it's not a good time because my kids are young. I'm at home. I'm on holidays. I have this going on at work. Like, when is there never stuff going on? There always is. But it's like, how bad do you want what you really want? It's like, you got to give yourself that permission to be like, yeah, you know what? I deserve this. My kids deserve this. My family deserves this. I want this so bad. I'm going to do whatever it takes. And once you do that, you're firming it in your mind that you're going to do it. And then after that, everything else is just figure outable.
Yeah. Well, I'll just make a comment, and we'll sort of. I want to make sure everybody knows when your book's coming out. But I'll just make that like in Napoleon Hill. It says the alibis and excuses, eliminate the ifs. And once we eliminate the ifs, if I had more time, more whatever, that is the key. And you've got a book coming out. So what's the title of the book? When is it going to be published? How can, I'm sure you're going to be doing some things through your social media, but when is it coming out? And how can they find out how to get it?
Yeah, so my book is coming out in the fall. I don't have an exact date yet, but it's coming out in the fall, and it's called World of Happiness. So it's really creating that like world, that wealth, that everything that you want on the inside first. And that's coming out in the fall. And they can go to my website and join my mailing list, because I'll be emailing everybody when the book is closer to being launched. And or you can follow me on Instagram.
Wonderful. Well, Jacquelyn, I really appreciate you coming on. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. I've been standing back admiring you and what you've been doing ever since we met briefly several times in Toronto at Bob's events. And you're doing a wonderful job. You are making a difference in the world. And I just want to let you know how much I appreciate you taking some time to be here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm going to put you in the green room and enjoy those M&Ms I left you. But hold tight for a few minutes, and then we'll wrap everything up.
Sounds good.
It's Jacquelyn MacKenzie. Yes, marvelous woman. I encourage you to reach out to her. Go to her website, which is scrolling across. Learn about what she's doing. Stay tuned in with her. Get her book. Usually in every book or every author has something that everybody can come and take away, improve their lives. And I'm sure that when you get her book, you'll come away with more than just one thing that could make a difference in your life. Take and share this information out with your audience. We never know how we can impact the world if we don't share. When we have good news, we need to share. So take this out, share it to the world. And with that all said, we'll see you on the very next G-Force.